Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for being with us again today. If you don't mind, I'll ask if you have any things that are near and dear to you, important to you, any struggles or glories that you're experiencing, whatever you want me to discuss today or cover today, please share. Silence.
The deeper meaning of joy.
Okay.
Sustaining miracles.
Okay, hold on.
Endings of relationships.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else? Okay. Anyway. What? What is that? Loss of a loved one? Okay. We're good. Understand that whatever needs to be covered is going to be covered anyway. So, but it is nice to ask for what you want. In life, in the center, at the store, I mean, with God in prayer, I mean, we have to learn to trust in a different world, a different universe, a different life than we're used to. Yogis have taught for thousands of years that what you see isn't real. And yet most prayers, most desires are based on things, us asking for things that aren't even there. It's the weirdest thing. I mean, who in their right mind would know that this is an insane illusion and start ordering things that they want? I mean, it kind of doesn't make sense. And you should laugh at that. And then place your order. It's okay, but at least don't get attached to it because you know that it's for now, it's an illusion. When they say don't get attached, it's not a reprimand. How dare you get attached? It's more like, I wouldn't recommend that. Spirit is not saying, thou shalt not get attached to things, which, that's the way some religions teach God. God's more like, eh. But how do you spell eh? So we're in a world, once upon a time, we're one with bliss. And we're loving love. And love is loving us, because we're love. We're made in the image of God. God is but love. That's it. I mean, this biblical statement, God did not create fear in man, but instead a sound mind. Okay, well, let's go with that. Only what God creates is real. The rest is manufactured, right? The rest is made up or manufactured. So if only what God creates is real, and God did not create fear in man, then you don't have fear, which means you have to manufacture it, which is only going to happen when we make up an ego self instead of there's the light of God. And remember that concept of light and shadows. I can use this paper. There's the light of God, and God says, let there be light, poof, and now we're part of that light. Can you see you separate from God? No, we're just one with the light of God. But at some point we said, but what if we get in the way and now we cast a shadow? And now people are, going to therapy to discuss their shadow. The therapist should go, well, welcome, move. And now you don't have a shadow. That'll be $150, or whatever. And I'm not dissing it. I don't mind. I mean, you go to shadow therapy, and I understand that. What it means really, because it's kind of ludicrous, but on the feeling level, on the compassionate level, it's an okay thing for people to get in touch with their hurt. Not because it's who they are, but it's because it's something that's in the way. So let's talk about the hurt. Really, all you have to do is get out of the way, but that makes you feel disempowered and unheard. So let's talk about your hurt. Well, there's a thumb and a finger and a middle finger and a palm, and it's all in the way, and we talk about it. So your therapy will help you move this piece and this piece, eventually dissolving the layers of the shadow. But where did the shadow come from? It wasn't God created you in its image and left you with a shadow. That's not anywhere in any holy book. We made it up. We cast our own. We decided to say, but what if we're not perfect love? What would we look like? Well, the perfect light wouldn't be there anymore. Now something's in the way. And that's why the concept of how do you know, if you get real ambitious and you have that question, how do we know when we're there? You know? Because I feel really like I've been doing Course in Miracles for the week and a half now. So I feel like I should be there. When do I know that I'm fully enlightened? I know Buddhist sutras and all kinds of fancy things, yoga master, etc. How do I know when I'm there? It's really simple. If you can walk in the mud or snow and not leave footprints, you're probably there. If you leave footprints, then just shut up and just enjoy, keep doing your work. Because the thought of, am I there yet, is not God. God wouldn't question itself. Am I there yet is your ego, so call it for what it is. And when I say words like, shut up, that's just my flippant way of being silly. It's like, enough. And it's okay for you to say that to yourself. Human beings don't understand one word, it's will. Willpower or will. It's an amazing, simple word. Because capital W is the will of God. You are actually the will of God. I will for you to be. Boom. And then we're floating around with lowercase w going, I will not do this. I will not do that. I will fall in love. I will hate that person because they didn't love me back. The will is completely scrambled. But so is creation. It's not a capital C anymore. We don't create, because to create, you have to co-create with God. Even people that are using manifestation techniques, it's very simple because people will say, Michael, do you agree with that? Well, let me ask you, did you tether yourself, which is where the word yoga and yoke comes from, did you tether yourself to God and then do your visualization or manifestation techniques? Well, no, because I was told I am God. The you that says that you're God, that needs to go to the workshops for $2,000 to learn how to manifest a new car, isn't the God part. So before you sit there and go, I got a new car, and there's techniques, people, it's kind of funny. And then picture the leather seats and the smell of the leather. That's my car, new car. I'm looking at the title. My name's on. This is techniques used to kind of manifest. But remember, that word manifest comes from man's infestations. Manifesting is all ego-based. Did I say it? Yes, I did. People might not agree. They might even get offended. No, manifestation's wonderful. No, it isn't. It's your infestations. If you're not doing it with God, then you're not doing it from creative consciousness. But I am creative. That's exactly what the ego would want you to say. The real I am is the one that says, I surrender what I think I am and rise to the greater of what I really am. So you have to be humble to be lifted up, right? The last shall be first and the first shall be last. So the one that wants to speak it and talk about how wonderful you are is not actually the God part. In the silence you find God. So be silent first. I know that there are people that say, always trust your first reaction, your first God. That's not true. There's not an always to anything, really, other than God itself. The ego, A Course in Miracles will tell you, Christ consciousness teaches, that the ego usually speaks first and loudest. Well, now I'm confused. Should I or shouldn't I take this new job? Yes, okay, I heard a yes. Let me go. Wait, but the first voice is the ego. No, always trust that first. Now I'm confused again. Am I confused? Yes. Well, I don't know if that's true either. Now I don't even know if I'm confused. You are. Just take my word for it. So now I don't know what to do, and it gets very upsetting because we really seek God and we really want to have answers and clear guidance. But we're so weak on so many levels. We forget our power. And it doesn't come from you grabbing your power. And it doesn't come from you taking a workshop where you name all the people that have ever taken your power away and then do some sort of cursed thing and cord cutting from them so you can get your power back. You can do that. And I'm sure it's helpful at some level. But what's really powerful, instead of just naming all the people that took your power, is to, because even if you do that, you're still going to have to do another step, which is why you gave it away in the first place. Yeah, but they took it. Oh, that's God's empowered world. And God created man in its image with perfect power, and something went wrong, where suddenly all other beings were capable of taking that power away, your identity away. When people say, somebody has stolen my soul, Michael, they can't. It's yours given by God. How could something take something of God from you? And I know it sounds like I'm dissing all these several beliefs. I guess I am. But not in a bad way. Not in a way that's to make you feel bad. It's to make you laugh at how many different ways we disempower ourselves. You will have to go through the shadow work. You will have to go through inner child work. You should absolutely work on family of origin stuff. You should absolutely look at addiction and the source behind your addictions. Absolutely, these things can be looked at and should be looked at. You absolutely will develop techniques at some point, or a desire to do techniques such as, I want to manifest a car, blue car, okay, blue. Yep, I can. You go through all that stuff. But there's also just first, let me breathe into the center of oneness with God first. I know that's inconvenient for the person, I want my car. Just shut up for a minute. God first. Center into God. Okay. Then from that center, now manifest, now look, now create. I call it co-creating. Now co-create the car. Because what's happening is you're tethered to God as your source, the power plant, to really feed the creation. You follow? You're bringing it about like an actual blossoming. It's organic because you center into the source of life and then you manifest life. So Jesus can't say, I'm going to bring a girl named Talitha back to life, a girl that was dead and then he brought her back to life. Or Lazarus come back to life. He had to be plugged into the source of life to give life. He didn't defeat death. That's not what he didn't fight the spirit of death. He just chose, that's powerful will, he chose the spirit of life. Now, he didn't say, I'm choosing the spirit of life, and there's going to be a war now between the spirit of life and the spirit of death, and I might win. You could get to a point where you know so clearly who you are, which is what God is. God is so absolute, perfect, love, peace, joy, oneness, etc. And I am part of that. Now I'm plugged into that. So now to manifest or create, co-create a car, I'm coming from that place. But I find myself, what's different is, it feels like an extension, like, well, of course, a car. And it would be a really good car and it would function well. It would have, good systems and all that. The idea of I'm going to create a car is still from the ego. Both are creating a car, but why is one appropriate and one I'm saying is not? Because one, you're coming from an organic place, from the spirit of creation. The other, you're unplugged from that. You know what you have to do when you're not plugged into source? You have to work harder to get it. You have to make it happen. You have to think about it more. Such as Jesus saying, hey, Jesus, they say in the Course in Miracles as well as in other teachings throughout history, Jesus, should we ask several times for something? And he's going, why would you? Why would you need to? If you're really plugged in, you don't have to. Blue car, blue car, blue car. You don't have to. It's, got it. And it's done. Jesus didn't have to go, Lazarus, come forth. Please, 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 please. Everybody's watching. I'm going to be humiliated if you don't. And, the church of crossed fingers, I call that. Hoping and wishing. It's called the difference between being and doing. Efforting. The less you're plugged in, the more you have to exert effort for something to happen. And there's another way of saying that. The more you have to fight people to convince them of political ideas or economic ideas or whatever it happens to be, the more you have to fight with them, the less you know. Because when you know, there's not much to do. If you're asked, you open it up and it flows. It's beautiful. But that's an organic process. The difference between knowing versus doubting, and then the doubting leads to doing, efforting to convince somebody of something. Even if it's a partner. You don't say to a partner that's all dysfunctional and physically, verbally abusive, honey, could we consider a counselor? No, you don't do that. You say, Monday I've set something up. We're going to go to a counselor. I'm not interested in a counselor. Are you sure? Always remember this. Are you sure? Because later when you leave them, they're going to go, well, had you asked me, I would have gone. You're going to say, no. I use the are you sure line, and I remember you validating, verifying that I heard you correctly, and you went, nope. It's right here. Wait, hold it in case you're doubting me still. I'm watching the Akashic records. Yes, you did that. So that's why we're done. Because everybody wants to suddenly, change when they see you're serious. But they should know you're serious all along. Not serious, but serious, clear. And that's all connected to what we're talking about, willpower. You have to show up. People have to know, the kid's doing something. Kids, you shouldn't be doing that. What does that mean? What kind of parenting is that? You really shouldn't be doing that, silly kid. And they're like, this is great. You're not even here. You're doubting so much, we could just reel you in and get what we want from you. God, anyway. One of you asked about how to sustain the effects of miracles. Belief. It's a knowing first and then believing. Know and believe. Ask and you shall receive. But asking means ask with a knowingness, not a begging, not a hoping. If you hope that there's a God, then you'll have a God that might be there once in a while because it's a vague hope. Okay? Just remember knowing. Even if I don't know if I completely believe it, in the back of my mind, I know all is well. I'm going to go ahead and manifest a car, do my little techniques, but wait. First, from God, let me envision what this looks like, my life improving. And what you're doing is not separate. Separate means I don't have a car, I would like a car, and I'm asking God, who's somewhere else separate from me, to help me get the car. That's all separation. Imagine this. I center in God and I affirm. Even if I have doubts, I can't be separate. God's right here. That's good to know. Okay, cool. Plugged in. Yep. Now remember, this is kind of a style of wording, even if you don't use these exact words. Hypothetically, if I were plugged into God and needed a car to get around, would I not be able to have the car? If I'm plugged into God and I say to you, get up and walk when you're ill, is it possible that that message doesn't get across to you? Remember, you're getting plugged into God, but then ask yourself, if I'm plugged in, and I assure you are if you've asked for it, from that place, what kind of car would a person who's plugged in have? Think about what I just said. You're doing something, it's organic. What kind of relationship would you have? Ask yourself. That's how you create. You imagine, highest mental faculty, highest faculty in man is your imagination, not your thinking. So if I'm plugged into God, what kind of car would I have? Now, if you close your eyes and you ask that question, and for some reason you picture ka-flum, 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 when you shut it off. If that's the kind of car that's a divine car. You need lots of therapy before you do any praying, because you better watch what you ask for. My divine car, the jalopy mobile, If I'm plugged into God, what kind of car? It's going to feel new. It's going to feel clean, fresh. Everything works well. That's God winking at us. So imagine this, right? I remember being on tour, and I after divorce and that sort of thing decades ago, I always, when I had a couple of partnerships in my life, when it's over, they get the money, they get the car, and I start over. That's the way I like to do it. It's like, I want to be supportive. And it's a weird thing because I've had a couple partnerships where they were collecting alimony for like decades afterwards, and I just didn't even think about it. I forgot. So an accountant ended up telling me. So do you know that, yeah. So, but I love that. Be generous. Realize that you can afford to give. Don't look at a divorce and go, how can I take? Which is what a lot of people do. And I'm not saying give it up to the other person. Just start from what's fair. It's okay. But be generous in every, place you can. So I remember on tour, I had no car, and I really didn't need, because people take me to the airport and I'm always on tour, so I was never home to need a car. So one day I'm on tour and I got in somebody's car and I just went, wow, this is nice. And it wasn't like it was a Rolls or something. I mean, I like the seat and I'm noticing the goodness, the feeling. And I said to myself, it's time to get a car, and this is what I'm looking for. And I got one. See, but it was organic. I know what feels like it's me, and because I know it's me, it's mine. Don't fight for it. Don't try to manifest it, and don't get caught up in the doubts of it. We all can have that happen. Well, synchronicity, Michael. You don't understand. Somebody calls and says, I got this relationship. Will it work out? And I'm like, 4 months and then it'll go topsy-turvy, and they'll say, oh, no, that can't be, because my astrologer said I'm going to meet a brunette, and, so this has to be it. Well, no, it doesn't. Because synchronicities are not always about God being in sync with you. Sometimes you're just manifesting what you want, and you don't want to hear anything else. So somebody says, I want to manifest a new car. And then I got in the car today, I turned on the radio, and lo and behold, there was an ad for a car lot in town. So that's clearly meant to be. Maybe. If it's me, I'm going to want to see repetitive confirmation and dramatic enough to let me know for sure that that's for me. Just because some little thing pops up, that's what all stimulation is about. Hey, look, shiny stuff, So you drive by a car lot and, wow, what a coincidence. I happen to be driving by a car lot. I go in and guess what, Michael? They actually had cars available to sell to me. What kind of car? That's a coincidence, isn't it? Oh my God. And we do this. We play these games. People will flip a coin. Should I date this person or not? Heads yes, tails no. Okay, 2 out of 3. And we do this all the time. And the universe is going, we're not even going to answer, because it doesn't matter, because you're going to just do what you want anyway, because you're ego-driven. Where's your willpower? So when you go to do a reading, even your own cards, or when you ask for signs, remember to set aside your will. Set aside your ego's false will. I do not want to influence this. When I do a card reading or something for myself or whomever, I ask that the Divine Mother choose the card, choose the question, the card, the answer, the interpretation, and the application. Like I don't leave a lot of room for ego to slip in there. Edgar Cayce was extraordinary, not a good psychic. He was beyond good. He was extraordinary. 90-something% accuracy rate. The average, what's considered to be, on a scientific basis, it should be a 50-50 chance when you flip a coin. But if your accuracy level reaches 60-something%, that's considered somebody who's gifted, a psychic. He's 90-something% accurate. It's otherworldly. But his technique that a lot of people don't know, he would go into a slight sleep, and as he's doing so, he would completely detach his ego. It's a yogi technique where you completely set aside. You don't pretend it's not there. You do a technique I won't go into that you set it aside. Then he does the readings, and that's why the accuracy level, and that's why the level of love and good intentions in his readings, okay? You set that aside. And it's the same if you're doing a reading with yourself. You don't want to pretend it's not there. You don't curse the ego. It's just you set it aside. But if you're using true willpower, your God-given willpower, you learn to do that, and you learn to know that you have the ability to say, not today. Right now, I'm looking for guidance. Right now, I'm looking to co-create something in my life. The last thing I need is my ego in there infiltrating and messing up the questions or the answers, right? So get used to having that level of power. You have free will, which means you can freely use it. But it's only freely being used when it's love-based. If you use your personal will, you're not actually exerting true free will. That's willfulness. That's different. So I want to know how to co-create with God. I've shared the story analogy before, but there's so many of us do this. I only want God's will. Prove it. I only want God's will. I'm going on a diet starting today. No more junk food. All right, and then it's like 9 o'clock. Oh man. Right about now, Sadonuts is done cooking all their fresh donuts. I mean, I don't know. It's like synchronicity because I can smell them. Is that a sign from God? Maybe it's a sign from God. Why else would I be smelling fresh donuts? And they have great ones, by the way. When I go in, they go, because I always have them go back. It has to be a hot one, and they double dunk into the chocolate. But anyway, that's my order, special order. But anyway. It's delicious, but if you do this and it's like, okay, but today, no, but I'm on a diet and I'm not going to do it. This is what human beings do all the time. But I have to run some errands, and it's not my fault. I have to go to Staples, which is in the same parking lot as Sadonuts. But it's okay because, God, give me the willpower. And this is all lying to ourselves. God, give me the willpower to not, go over there. I'm just going to go into Staples. And you go into Staples, and there's a poster of an ad and, computer printers, and somebody's eating a donut, printing out something. Oh, my God, it's a sign. Or is it a temptation? It's the devil. This is evil trying to make me eat again. Okay, but you fight it, you resist it, and, okay, God, I'm leaving the parking lot now. It's not too late. And then we do things like, okay, I'll tell you what. I want to be fair, God. If there's an empty parking spot right in front, now, because, it's often filled in. If there's an empty parking spot right in front of Sadonuts, I'll know that it's a sign from you, and you can apply this to anything. Then I'll date that person. Then I'll get married. Then I'll whatever, and go into the donut store. Sure enough, the 5th time around the parking lot, there was a spot right in front. And I got a donut, and you know what? It was ordained by God that I should have that donut. Now, that's what we do, if you can see the silliness of that. Now, how do you know maybe it was God? How do God isn't selling donuts. God only says, are you happy? I'm talking true happiness. You asked about joy. The true definition of joy is I feel the presence of God and my cup runneth over. Joy looks like that. It's not excitement. That's different. It's not fleeting happiness. I'm so happy. It's not that. That's more like a human emotion. Joy is a heart, not a human emotional chakra. Joy is in here. It's a divine feeling, not a human emotion. So it fills up. Something in me is just like amazing. It feels just plugged in. But it can involve I had a donut or I didn't have a donut. I feel so much joy because I got through this test that I put myself through. Oh my God, you should see what I did to myself over a donut. But should you really have it? And as soon as I got home, I jumped on the scale because I knew I gained 5 pounds from that donut. That's me beating myself up. That's not the voice of God. God's saying, what are you doing? Peace, joy. How do you expect me to have peace and joy? I'm craving a donut and peace, be still and know the I am presence of God. So God wants the stillness, the peace. Now, what is it that you can do that most resonates with peace? You don't choose a donut or not donut. You're choosing peace or not peace. And if you can have a donut and be at peace, nice. Then do it. If having the donut causes you conflict, marrying that person causes you conflict, someone's out of sorts. And we don't just curse the donut, we don't curse the person. You're the one eating the donut or marrying the person. What can I learn from this? That I have value. God wants me to feel the presence of God, and I don't when I'm always arguing with that person, or always defending myself with that person, always begging to get a raise at work. You see? That's not them. I mean, yes, they're seemingly doing their part, and it's selfish and so on. But I'm a co-creator. As soon as you walk into a job place and you have this frequency about you, they can't not value you. You understand? They don't sense options. When you go and get married, there's all kinds of dysfunction in these two people. And they hide it. Instead, hi. And you're like, nice teeth, And then you download genetics and programming of gender. You're supposed to say if they have nice teeth, they're good mates because they can create good workforce of children. And you're coming from such a shallow place. Really? Really? Date a dentist. I mean, just shorten it up and just stop looking to just get to a dentist who probably takes care of their teeth, if that's as shallow as you want to be. But otherwise, there's all these tentacles. These people, they meet and they want to show the certain look to impress each other. And they're so busy with this that nobody notices. These tentacles that come out from the back of their mind and plug into them and start downloading. I'm looking for someone who will allow me to continue my addictions. And this person, they're looking all confident. They go, yeah, you look confident on the outside, but I can tell. You'll let me get away with things as long as I give you certain things. As long as I tell you I love you, you'll ignore that I do certain things. It's what we do. Got to unplug this stuff and say, I'm sorry. I've been projecting onto you what I hope you to be and what I feared you would be or desired you to be, etc. It's all human. Instead, I'm going to retire from this, and I ask you to be who you are. Would you like to be in a relationship with me while you do that? And I'm going to do the same. I'm discovering who I am. I'm not going to pose for you who I am. I'm telling you, I have no idea. But I am on a search, and I'm finding. I'm unfolding. Is it okay that I give you a rose that isn't yet blooming and fragrant? Is it okay that I give you a rose that's in bloom? It's starting to awaken. That's me. And the person has to decide. No, actually, I'm so shallow and messed up. I need someone who can, make it look like they're fully in bloom, meaning meeting all my agendas. So I know you won't do. Or, the bud or whatever metaphor you want to use. I want something a certain way and it's not. But be honest, be clear, bring this out. The joy is a natural. Joy isn't something you achieve. It's actually the natural feeling, fragrance, that comes from recognizing who we are. And we just like this joy, this wow. I feel that way when I teach, when I share, when I, counseling sessions, what I do. Because when you're plugged into God, it shouldn't be like, I guess I'll do a Sunday talk. What do you want? Just crack open. I don't care what you want. I'm just going to crack open the good book, which if it's so good, why do I feel the way I feel? If I'm accessing it from the right place, I should be feeling joy. If I say, Holy Spirit, you tell me what to share today. You guide the page I land on, right? You know that one? So we open it and boom, and it starts downloading depth and spirit. And when that's done, how do you not leave going, wow? And that wow is like joy. And that's how I am. And as completely crazy as I might look, I tell people these things all the time, but that's me. I mean, I finish a session and I feel the Spirit of God. Whatever I do, it's that Spirit of God. So I can finish a session. I can finish an online program that we do. And when it's over, I don't, I generally feel really up. Edgar Casey would do his trance readings, but when he was done, they knew the readings told him, when you're done, have a couple of crackers. Why do you think he needed that? Right. Because otherwise, there's all this energy. And he was a chain smoker because he had all this zzz going on. So he's like, I need something. So he became a chain smoker. They taught him, have a couple crackers, just a couple crackers. And boom, you slow down. It helps ground and integrate. You're back. And for me, sometimes I've done that. If people are with me on tour, they know that, would you like something? Yeah, but not until I'm done working. I almost always went through the 12 hours of sessions before, and I would say just, afterwards, find a place where I can get some chips and salsa. Mexican food, I love that. So some chips and salsa. So they would find a place and I would go. That was my decompressing. You've got to find your way to be honest with yourself how you're feeling. And when you're feeling high, find a way to integrate it or it becomes very manic and depressive. You don't want to be high like sugar and then crash, even with spirit. You want to go high and then warm, from hot to warm and integrate it. Hot to warm and integrate it. You don't need to go cold. You don't need to, which can happen. You can be doing a conference, a workshop, a Sunday service, and even if you're good enough to do great work and feel a high, afterwards there can be a crash. When you're having all this high and you're on a lecture tour and you're signing autographs, and then you go back to your hotel room and you just sit there and you're alone, you can crash. It happens. But not if you go warm instead of cold and integrate. So you're always going boom and integrate, boom and integrate. It's amazing, but that's how this becomes through and through. So that concept of integration, the joy never disappears and you start over. You just go to warm and hot, warm and hot. And what happens is you're yoking yourself to God properly. But what's happening is your cup is filling up. It's not going empty and then trying to fill and always dropping again. You're integrating, so the cup is always getting filled. It's kind of like a new floor. Now it's here. I go up again and now it's here. I go up again and now it's here. Does that make sense? Always higher and higher in the best kind of way. So joy, bliss, even peace, they are things you achieve. Technically, you are those things. But they don't just show up because of excitation. You don't say, well, my favorite soap opera's on and I'm feeling tranquility and bliss. It doesn't work that way. You have to feed and water the plant of God's consciousness in you for it to grow. So you have to nurture that. You have to take responsibility and nurture that. You have to use willpower that says, this really isn't for me. I'm trying to water and feed a Garden of Eden, but I'm living in hell. So every time I water and feed a plant, the heat of hell is burning it up. And that's hope for a different job, hope for a different life. There are people that are going to sometimes be that voice of, no, you can't do that. That's not for you. You weren't brought up that way. It's not in your programming. You don't have the genetics for all these things. And you have to say, I have genetics you know not of. I have beliefs you know not of. It's kind of like you have to get used to telling the world, even though I appear to be a human being and I'm here with you all, we're eating, drinking, whatever you do, but inside of me, there's something supernatural. I have an understanding that God is not only perfect power, it's in me through and through. And I believe in that power. Do I have doubts? Yes, I do. But I know that it's true, even though sometimes I doubt. Do both. Don't think that doubting means you don't deserve to be a good person or achieve something or to know that you're one with God. You have to actually do both. I know the truth, but I'll respect the illusion. So if you went to the donut place and you gave in to the craving, oops, to err is human, to have that donut is divine. Oh, no, wait. To err is human and to forgive yourself is divine. It's a funny thing, this is very, it's not mean to be disrespectful to try to summarize a whole thought system in a sentence, but one of the goals in Hinduism and in many traditions is to become one with God. That's a reasonable thing. become one with God. Let's go. Then Buddhism comes along and says, no, that's not going to work. What? You can't become one with God because you're too attached to this world of illusion. So Buddhism's saying, they're telling you to become one with God and it will not work. And if it works, it takes thousands of lifetimes. So Buddha's like, who's got that kind of time? I'm going to tell you, get rid of your attachments to what isn't real and the other will open up. Makes good sense. Christ consciousness comes along. I'm not talking about the religion of Christianity, but Christ consciousness comes along, and here's the first thing it does. Validates both. Great to become one, and you have to let go of illusion. Beautiful. See the bridging of that? Instead of two systems that look like they're warring a bit. No, that's true, and yeah, that's true. But it adds one weird piece. It doesn't get philosophical, the oneness and the illusion and sitting and, dispersing the illusion and overcoming cravings. And it's not all that. It adds, Christ consciousness adds one piece. Whatever you do in the oneness or the illusion breaking, ask the mother to help you. You follow? I mean, that's like, wait, what? Well, yeah, you're into oneness, but just ask the mother to guide, the Holy Spirit, the divine mother to guide you on your path to oneness. Oh, it didn't invalidate it now, it empowered it. How did it empower it? Because it gave you the spirit, the mother that births you every day into a new self. She knows everything you need. She knows every obstacle you'll run into. So she'll get you, if you want the oneness, and you get to decide, I want to go oneness, not dispersing illusion. She'll help you with that and shorten the learning curve. Or I want to really overcome illusion. Help me with that. Or whatever else pathwise you choose. That's, if there's a shortcut at all, it's that. It's calling on the help of the Divine Mother. It isn't about the intellectualisms and how many books of each and, memorizing. I'm a yoga practitioner. I've got to memorize the asanas and postures and so on. Somebody was saying recently about how some of the teachers are telling you, come on, you've got to perfect those asanas. And I'm saying, no, that's not true. That doesn't make any sense. Of myself, I am nothing, but the divine in me is everything. So if I focus on I am going to get all my postures done perfectly, what does that mean? I have to do it the way you do it, or the poster shows me, or the book, which, by the way, are usually written and photographed of people that are doing it for 20 years. I can't even, that's it. So I'm not doing them perfectly. Oh, but watch, once you're like, boom, contorting your body, and now I'm a great yogi. No. Anytime a first timer does this, yoga is not the postures. Yoga is yoking yourself to God. So if all you did is say, I can't even move, my legs don't work, I'm paraplegic, quadriplegic, whatever it happens to be, I'm sitting, and all I have to do is be with me in all the things I do today, and your yoga is perfect. Because that's what yoga means. And all these people misrepresent it, which is really, I call it American yoga, But, hi, welcome, let's all together, and yoga, even if they memorize Sanskrit words, I don't care. It's not real. If you don't bring God into it, it's not real. Nothing is real without the source of real. That's the way it goes. So no matter how messed up so many years of not moving, and I sat at a keyboard, now I'm permanently like this. I walk around the house, I go to the mall, I'm like this. Fortunately, when I drive, all I do is flip my hands, but I'm stuck in this position from doing office work forever. All you do is yoke to God. And in yoga, yes, surrender to God and you're yoked. But if you're going to do the rest, I want to bring God into everything I do. So now what I'm going to do is breathe and stretch back a little. Oh, that's not a perfect yoga posture because you're not folding yourself back, and kissing your own feet. Well, wait, all I need to do is go, I'm moving. Here's a block. Watch. Here's a block. God, be with me with my blocks. And that was a successful asana. Bringing God to your limits, to your blocks, to your opinions, to your unhealed wounds, to your judgments, because it's all the same. If you can't move right the way you move left, there's a reason. And if you have a great teacher, they bring you to that place, and then you learn to unwind while you're there. And it's like, while you're doing it, you're not just like Sanskrit chants or listening to the cool music. You're checking in. What's that? Oh yeah, I remember him. You know, you're moving. And it's called cellular memory, because if you move consciously into a posture consciously, then you're sort of unleashing whatever was stuck there. And now it should be able to percolate up, sometimes become visible, sometimes it goes without you seeing it. The point is, my intention is, I bring God to it. And if God is light and this is darkness, light came to the darkness and illuminated it. And now I can move more freely. That's yoga in its true meaning. And it's not always just the work on spots, it's also the praise, to sing. You see? To sing when you're doing these things. To sing and dance. That's where dance originally came from. Everything that we do in our bodies was originally, if you're going to have a body, bring God into it and celebrate the presence of God. You know, when you go into a spiritual center, there should be a feeling of the presence of God. You know, if next Sunday you all arrived and I was, somehow shifted into, you're all going to hell, and the good book says, and I'm all like sweaty, and you're going to hell, and you're a sinner. If I were you, I probably wouldn't stay there, other than praying for me. This dude, he had it together, but he lost it, That would be the only reason to stay there, if you're sane. But there are places you go, no, I'm not looking for that, the lovey God stuff. I need somebody to beat me up and tell me I'm going to hell. If that's what you need, then there's places for that. But the presence of God should really be one of love. The book of Revelation, horrific stories in there. And this is going to happen and that's going to happen. I know. This is going to happen and that's terrible things are coming to the world. And that's true prophetic stuff. Some of it is historic. It's all factual, but facts and truth are not always the same. So the facts are, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, that's going to, and so on. The facts are, this is likely our destiny in terms of prophecy. But truth of God says there's other things outside the box. So revelation isn't, here's what's going to happen to the world. Revelation happens to me when I begin to the journey of towards Christ consciousness. If you look at the book of Revelation, it's very simple. It starts off with the author, John, in meditation. It ends with becoming one with God. It's called the wedding. Bless you. You follow? You are in meditation and it ends with becoming one with God. Oh, is that book of Revelation? Oh, I forgot to tell you the middle. Everything goes to hell in a handbasket. You know why? Because the you that isn't real, the one that hurts and hates, has to be purged before you get to that one. Well, can I just go from to God? No. Because the parts of you that are not God have to be seen and chosen to be released. You can't say, God, clean this up for me. God's going to say, okay, well, I'll help you with it. What do you think of that? Oh, I don't like that person. Oh, well, I'm going to have him call you tomorrow. And that's the process. So the book of Revelation with creepy stories and the beast coming from the bottomless pit and all these, what do you think that's the ego? The reason that the horrible Antichrist and beast come out of the pit is because when you do your work, it gets ticked off. At first, you just have annoying things going on when you're on the path because you're just mildly on the path. Stay with it, stay with it, stay with it. You become one of the chosen ones, one of the 144,000, which is numerologically a 9, and 9 is the number of mankind. So who's going to be saved? Well, 144,000 of us. No, all of us have the opportunity to say, I'm done with this. I'm going to just see this through. To like Buddha sitting beneath the Bodhi tree, and arrows come at him. They turn to petals. He has the seductresses come and dance for him. All these things, and he just sits unmoved by it all. That's how he realizes this is an illusion. But he still had to face the images. He didn't go, I think it's an illusion. I'm good. And then he's done. I think this is an illusion. Really? Sit down. Let's have a conversation. Boo! Just no. He didn't peek. But You know, it's to realize nothing moves me anymore. And that's a really challenging thing. It might sound like, oh, that's the way of the mystic. I still have stuff to do with my life. It's hard to be between those and know the truth and respect the illusion. I deal with this all the time. I have to think of why to eat because there's no food that really does it for me. You know, so I have to go, okay, I'm going to choose between pizza and pizza. So I just have pizza most of the time. But I don't wake up in the morning and go, I can't wait to have, there's very little that impresses me. Relationship, partnership, sex, drugs, rock and roll, whatever it is, most of it just doesn't do it for me. And then I know that sounds like a very boring, which I am, person. But this is a normal thing on the path. And if it happens to you where you say, I'm done with relationships, that's hurt speaking. When it's I don't really need that. It's different. I don't need kudos at work. I don't need, but you deserve it. Sit, let the arrows come, let the petals come, let the dancers come. Just remain as unmoved as you can. There's a difference between detachment and attachment. You want non-attachment. That's different. Detached, too cold. Attached, too hot. Warm. Goldilocks. Find the warmth. You feel clear. It's nice that you compliment me, but I don't live needing it. It's nice to have food, but it doesn't make or break my day. And there's nothing wrong with going, that hit the spot. There was something about that. As long as you know it isn't the food that hit the spot. Something in your consciousness had to have been high enough to have an experience of joy today. And it isn't. I got a raise at work. Now I'm feeling joyous. That's a lie because you don't get divine feelings from human stimulations. You see? It has to have been from work you've done. This is so weird. I lost a loved one. One of you asked about that. I lost a loved one, but I feel more centered about it than some people think I should. That's healthy. That's actually righteous. Or somebody's mad at you and they don't want to talk to you anymore. Okay. Not cold, not, oh, please. It's just, I don't feel caught in these things. And it's a strange way to live. Okay? It is. It's a strange way to live. You're kind of caught up in this, world, and all of a sudden, I feel okay. I don't need my parents' approval. You're like 99 years old, and you're still waiting for your dad to say, I'm sorry. And he's been dead for 40 years. And you're still waiting for, honey, you were right. You're a wonderful child. Guess what? I had a miracle happen. My dad told me I had value. Well, I'm glad for you, and that's good. But inside I'm thinking, why did you need it? If he was that insane, why did you need him, of all people, his approval? You don't need anything like that. You're a child of God. So center into God and imagine a new life. That's a really, really powerful technique. Remember what I said. Center into God and imagine now, plugged in, what kind of a day might I expect? Not, here's the day I want. Plug in, and what would be the natural gifts that come from plugging into God? See, it's different. Less ambitious, less needy, less attached. No, this is just obvious now. I'm going to have this conversation with somebody today. It's a challenging conversation, but wait. If I'm not plugged into God, how would that conversation go? Survival of the fittest and all that, right? If you're not plugged into love. But if I'm plugged into love and God and peace, how could that conversation, what would it look like? Miraculous. They say, well, even if they sharpen things up, you go, yeah, I hear what you're saying. Oh, well, thank you for listening. Things shift. And you go, well, I tried that yesterday and it didn't work because the patterns and programs are there. Stay the course with spirit. Stay the course knowing God's with you in all things. And let it all the old programs, let them fall away. And they will. And sometimes it's the form of certain addictions and sometimes certain people, and they fall away. I'm sorry that that's going to happen, but I'm not, because it's the right thing. If you're setting the course saying, I'd like to vibrate to an 8 out of 10, why are you upset when the 2 falls away? Right? But we do. And that's not God saying, oh, It's the ego saying, I cannot stand the idea of you not having the things that bring you down. So the ego is the ultimate addiction, because we're addicted to it becoming our pusher of every dysfunction on this planet. It's just doing what we told it to do or made it think it had room to do. When it comes to screw up your life and it sees you going, it's like, oh, bloody hell, what do I do with that? Boo! Doesn't matter. You could lose your job. A lot of jobs are going this year. I heard. And I heard, a lot of rain this year. Probably your vegetable garden isn't going to do well because there's going to be so much rain. You don't, oh my God, in watching the news, be afraid, okay? You just don't do that anymore. It doesn't make sense. So you start to see the illusions. You start to see through it all. And by seeing it, you have to see it before it can dissipate. You see it, and you must remove your investment in it. I don't mean faking that you don't have emotion or attachment. I'm saying this actually is an organic process. The more you practice this, the more you live this, the more you give yourself time to breathe. When someone says, I'm thinking of breaking up with you, they're thinking about it. What, are you going to let me know? Do I have 10 days? Let me help you. Seriously. Well, let me help you. I'm going to help you along. Humpty Dumpty. Let me just, just let's get it done. Human beings do not know how to do that. Human beings love to be enabled and enable themselves and each other. Just keep enabling all the dysfunction. They don't like when someone shows up and says, hold it. Okay, that's done. We're not doing that. We're not doing, here's what we're going to do, and so on. And I'll close with this. I've guided people in, counseling people who are CEOs of corporations and big companies and all that. When they come to me and they say, I got this corporation and it's successful, but it's breaking me. I mean, the work and the stress and the employees are doing what they want. They take advantage because I'm very loving. They show up late and nothing happens and so on and so on. You see, they're conflicted, and divided we fall. It doesn't go well. Me being divided, it doesn't go well. When you're living divided, when you know something's right, but you still do something else, you're conflicted and you're divided. And some part of you will have to suffer the consequences. It could be your liver, it could be your mind, it could be emotions, but something's going to be the result because you're living conflicted. That's why I say watch and notice where on a 0 to 10, how do you rate your relationship? How do you rate your job? How do you rate your health? Stay aware of this because it should never drop below a 7. Not because I'm being ambitious and type A about it. I'm saying that represents healthiness to me. You go, well, if you're a counselor, ask people. If you're a friend, ask people when they say, struggling with my relationship. How do you rate it? What do you mean? 0 to 10, how do you rate it? Oh, like a 3. Why are you there? Change what you can and accept what you can't. But change what you can should come first. That's backwards in some programs. You first step up and change. And how, honey, we're going to go to a counselor. You change what you can. You make adjustments that come from your soul, your heart, God. And we're going to do those. If someone fights that and they don't want to make the changes, that's an answer. If I know we're going north and you, even without speaking, are trying to get me to go south, turn here. Not even saying because I want to go south. Your passive aggressive or your aggressive ways of sabotaging that I'm going north, it doesn't mean I have to hate you. We're not going the same direction. So let's be clear. Be clear about who you are. What's rating low? And if it's rating low, change some things to get it higher or let it go. But if you keep living in that, it's not going to go well. Does that make sense? Yeah. Become a more conscious participant in your life. I want that donut. Is that good or bad? Well, where's it coming from? Well, I saw an ad and they look delicious. No, but where's that coming from? Craving. What's the craving about? And here's what happens. Sometimes you're craving that delicious donut and you think, but I should be allowed to, yes. But my body craves it, whatever all your reasons. Beyond those, deeper and deeper, you realize, you know why I want a donut? Sometimes there might be superficial other things, but Deep down, there's a symbolism. I'm lacking sweetness in my life. And the donut tells me I'm getting sweetness, but it isn't going to give you sweetness. Now, so don't have the donut. No. You get to have your cake and eat it. Here's how you do it. God, I'm going to tune into you for a moment. I got to tell you something. Wow. Best donuts in Sedona or in the northern hemisphere. Great donuts. They're delicious. You heard, and God's like, get to the point. Okay, well, they're delicious and they taste great, but I'm sitting with it and I know that it symbolizes I want sweetness, which can only come from God. So God, give me the sweetness that you are, because it's all I ever really want is God. When you think you're craving sex, what you really want is God. You think you want a relationship, you really want God. You think you want children, underneath it all is oneness with God. Believe it or not. But does that mean don't do anything? Well, no, because I'm here. So God says, instead of anti-donuts, only go with God. It's really trippy. God says, how about both? Oh, how do I do that? By bringing me into your yoga, bringing me into your donut experience. God, I thought the donut was going to give me something, but it can only come from you. So, the sweetness of God, I feel your presence. Now, when I go to have the donut, if sometimes you go, I don't feel the craving for the donut because I filled up. Other times, you still have the donut, but you're having it with God. Pretty good, huh, God? Huh? This is pretty good, huh? Divine. This is divine. It's okay. So you're still allowed to do things, but you no longer do them as, well, this would be a God experience. This is a human experience, but I do this separately. That's no longer, don't do anything separately anymore. Become yogis, become yoga masters by yoking everything to God. Be with me while I eat this. Be with me while I'm in the courtroom in a divorce. Be with me while I pee. Be with me when I shower. Be with me while I mow my lawn. That's the whole point. Start every day. Be with me throughout the day. If you slip and forget, tether again. Oops. Let me call in your presence. Give up what was annoying that surfaced and call in God's presence. Does that make sense? Yeah? It's fantastic. Living a life plugged in. Please take a few centering breaths. Those of you who have asked specific questions, if you listened carefully, we covered these things for the most part. Ending relationships, losses of loved ones, we covered these, but we tied them together with other things, apparently. Remember, don't fight so hard with the donut craving. Don't fight so hard with, if I was spiritual, I wouldn't mourn the loss of a loved one. Who told you that? It's okay. Allow the human stuff, but do it differently. God, I'm feeling a lot of tears coming on. Be with me. See, what you're saying is, God, I want you to make sacred my crying. I'm going to scream my rage into a pillow. God, be with me. Sanctify this moment. Even though I'm going into all this human screaming, it's okay, but ask God to be with you. Because what humans do is they do one separate from the other. At best, they do the spiritual stuff once in a while. We are not supposed to be human beings having an occasional spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. So just know that the priorities. I am as God created me, and I will to be the Christ on earth. Only when you're in a state of love and that you've consciously chosen to plug into God are you actually accessing will, true will or willpower. When not, then you're compensating because you're disconnected, and now you have to use willfulness to get things accomplished. When beings in the past were still in touch with their power at a high level, they could say to rocks, become a block and stack upon the other, and use levitation-like techniques, which was in consciousness. They also used sounds and tones, but in consciousness first. After a while, they had to build things to raise the rocks. And then tractors that need fuel and so on and so on. That's efforting. They break their backs trying to do the work that they could have simply, like a sculptor, here's what I'm seeing beneath the rock, and just only carve away the rock that isn't part of the statue. It can be effortless. So in this moment, Father, Mother, God, in this moment, Holy Spirit, we're asking you to help us by spontaneously bringing something up from the depths of our being that we most need to work on at this time in our lives. It could be a work incident, it could be a relationship, communication, hurt feelings, whatever. Let the Holy Spirit bring something up that is consciously or unconsciously needing to be worked on. The image of a person, the image of a situation, a workplace, a home project. I see it. And I accept that this thing has a deeper meaning behind it. It is a symbol that I am not at peace, that I'm not plugged in. I'm not denying that or fighting that. I accept that. And Father, Mother, God, I've got this thing and I've tried to push it away, which encourages separation. But it also confirms on some level I'm uncomfortable with it or afraid of it. And I try to push it away by naming it and not thinking about it or judging it. This is not how I am to heal things. Now I know that. Father, Mother, God, please help me. Give me the courage to draw this thing closer to me. Even an undesirable person or situation, the grossest of gross. Help me to bring this closer to me so that it stands here in my energy field. And to that person or event, situation, circumstance, I'm so very sorry that I took you and pushed you away, which then gave you a power like an evil force. You are an image, you're a symbol of my hurts, my unhealed wounds. You're a symbol of my stuff. Let the Holy Spirit tell you what it's a symbol of if you can do that. Symbol of what? Shame? Doubt? Low self-worth? See what it is a symbol of. And if you're open to it, how is that so? How is that a symbol of something like that? Let it just kind of unravel and show itself. Because what it means is, if I were to continue with it pushed away, it means you're actually choosing to never heal it. You're choosing to have it as a saboteur in your life, although from a distance. No, that's not my way of life anymore. I choose the will of God. The will of God is that this be seen through the eyes of God. God, how would you have me see this person or event? How would you have me see this? Does it have power over God? Then it doesn't have it over me. That is, does it have an ability to actually harm God? Then it wouldn't have power to harm me. Is it impossible for this thing to fade away? No. That's how I see this. This thing, whatever you are, any part of you that is a mirror of my hurts and wounds, you begin to dissipate now into the nothingness that you are. Any part of you that's real, that's love, that's of value at all, I breathe you into my being. But at the end of the day, nothing is left in front of me. Unhealed parts are healed, completed, done, and the healthy parts of it are integrated into my being. So this is perfectly done perfectly. And then check inside. If you did this exercise, how do you feel? It might be relieved, it might be peace, it might be joy, but it's not likely to be heavy and hateful. But how do you feel? And whatever it is, You're feeling the natural, organic gifts or effects of having done God work. I like this feeling, and this is what I'm going to choose to do more and more every day of my life. We give thanks for the images that came up, people or events, not an accident. They were purposeful, they were necessary. So thank you for showing up what I needed to work on. I give thanks that it's been transmuted, transformed into light. I give thanks, Father, Mother, God, that you guided this experience and made sacred this experience and this healing. And that this, all the goodness of this integrates and becomes a better part of my life. And so it is. Very nice. Thank you. How are we feeling? Good. Good. Take a few moments to breathe that in and integrate that. Can anyone share what they learned or heard today that made the most sense, whether in the meditation or in the talk? Yes?
Pray as a beggar and get a beggar's share.
Pray as a beggar and you'll get a beggar's share. It's a different place of consciousness to come from, yes. Yes?
Don't forget to ask the mother, and when she answers, make sure I wasn't creating the answer.
Very good. Remember, call upon the Mother, the Divine Mother, as your guide, the Holy Spirit. Christians will call it the Holy Spirit, but the Holy Spirit that they're talking about, they got from the, Jewish traditions, which was the Holy Shekinah, and that was originally seen as this, the female aspect of God, the mother aspect of God. Anyone else in the meditation or the talk? Yes?
Every desire, underneath every desire is a desire for God.
Underneath every desire is a desire for God. Cool, huh? And we can say, oh, that's so beautiful. It's like a nice Christmas card. But no, for real, what if that's true? You know what I really want? I could really use a beer right now. No, it's God. This really bums out your life. Because you're like, no, can't I just have a beer without getting all cosmic? And I used to hear that throughout my life. Michael, just stop with that and just get with the just do things like we do. But I'm like, but what does it mean? What is the purpose of that? The more you do this, the more you're trying to attain something you don't think you have. And so the world doesn't really nurture that kind of thinking. So it's challenging. But you know what? You're still doing the right thing by living this way. I don't care if the world doesn't get it. I'm sorry that they don't get it. I'm sorry that you don't have more support in it, but that's okay. That's the whole point. The insane world wants to attack sanity so that misery loves company and wants to make sanity, into insanity. The ego wants everything to go that direction. Waking up means saying no to that. But you can't just go no and it's gone. It's every day with every decision. God, what would you have me do? And you could say, what would love have me do? And it's okay that the Christians say, what would Jesus have me do? Because it's still it's the same to them. What would sanity have me do if you're talking psychotherapy? What would be the healthy thing to do? Use whatever word you want, but at the end of the day, it's God. All right? Anyone else? All right. We're going to take up our collection and say our closing prayer. Please be as generous as you can be. And not just here, wherever you go, know that you are made in God's image. Guys, be generous. Here, be generous. Give what you can. It's right. What did you learn? You learn more than most books. Pay what you would for a book. You learn more from most workshops. Give like you would at a workshop. But I'm also saying, remember to give to servers in restaurants and wherever you can afford, extend. Show people that they have value by saying thank you. The donations that you can afford. But say thank you. You don't have money because you earned it. You're a steward of it. What are you doing with it? If you have a great smile, what good does it do to lock up your smile? Share it. Bring your light in whatever form it arises, and your talents happen to be, bring it to the world. The religions that taught you that's all evil, you need to shut it all down, they lied to you. Instead, hey, if it's wardrobe, color coordination, your hair, whatever is glorious about you has come for a reason. Use it to let your light shine through that thing. It's another way of saying reach people through that. Your donations go in the bags. Remember that. The baskets are for any extra donations, like change at the bottom of your purse or winning lottery tickets or, anything beyond just the Sunday donation, okay? Please hold your donation to your heart. And folks online, God bless you for being as generous as you've been. Together, please, divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Thank you. I very much appreciate our team for being here all the time and learning the things about how to run cameras and stream online. And, we never take that for granted. We really appreciate all the work that everybody's put out, and done to keep things happening. And the team of people that showed up and did our Christmas lights. Got to have those up. So they're probably not on now, but we have them up. They come on in the afternoon. So I love to see that beauty and that celebration of light and spirit. Oh, and our tree too that got put up a few days ago. So all the volunteers that helped with all that, God bless you and thank you. And those of you who send us, yes. And those of you who take time to send extra donations, we got, God bless you, man. We really appreciate. It gives us the finances to buy the electricity, the electronics we need, and so we stream and new computers and things like that along the way. So we greatly appreciate your help. Please stand for our closing prayer. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Thank you, thank you. Think of all the gratitude, the people that help us put things together here. Handymen, contractors, team members, volunteers, admins, everybody that shares here, those that donate, those who attend, not just Sunday, anything we do here. And God bless you, 12 steppers that step up and try to change your life by attending those groups on a regular basis, saying no to the old hurtful, addictive lifestyle and say, you know what? I'm going to make some changes in my life. That's a very beautiful thing you're doing. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we go, God is, I am, we are, and so it is. Peace be with you all. Thank you.